Let me hit you with a thought that might sting a little. If you're feeling jealous of a competitor, it's not because they're cheating, it's because they're showing you what's possible. And here's the wild part. The difference between businesses that stay stuck and businesses that scale isn't talent, money, or even timing. It's what they do with that feeling. Lady bosses, are you working even after putting the kids to bed but still not getting results?
Are you tired of spending money on ads that aren't getting engagement?
Do you feel burdened that you aren't fulfilling your purpose in life because you are so consumed with work?
I'm your host, Brooke Bolts. I'm an attorney and founder of Bolts Legal. I started my business and in 1 year was bringing in 7 figures and am now bringing in multi-7 figures.
And I'm your co-host, Rachel Bolts, owner of Bolts Media. I've helped many businesses build their online presence and increase their revenue through digital marketing.
Want to hear how we did it?
We are here to help you achieve your goals personally, professionally, and spiritually.
So kick off your high heels, sit back, and let's ignite that passion.
We're Miss Biz, where we're putting the Miss in biz.
Let's get biz done. You are probably not surprised to learn that the inspiration for this episode is one of my children. They inspire so many of these topics, but kids are such a valuable source of information. And as we're parenting and trying to teach them important life lessons, so much of it relates to business as well. So today's episode is inspired by my daughter, Lila, who has struggled with jealousy since she was a year old. She was born premature. She was born at 25 weeks. And so when her sister was born a year later, she mentally was not a 1-year-old. She was more like an 8 or 9 month year old. Not year old, 8 or 9 month old. And so she just developmentally was very much still a baby. And so when we brought home her sister, and we're so excited to show her your new baby sister, her face just was horrified.
Yeah.
And she recognized at that moment that she was no longer the baby in the same way that she was before, that she was going to have to share all of the attention with a sibling. And the sibling rivalry really began and has continued from that moment on. And so it has been a constant struggle in our household, the way that the girls argue and don't get along. But it has become more than that. Lila's jealousy now, because it has become kind of a way of life with her sister, has spilled over into other areas. And so she plays basketball. We've talked about that before. She's very talented at basketball, but there's always going to be someone better than you.
Mm-hmm.
There's always going to be no matter how pretty you are, there's always someone prettier.
Yep.
No matter how skinny you are, there's always someone skinnier. There's always someone that's going to be better than you. And so what happens is she fixates sometimes on the people who are better than her at some aspect of basketball, and she gets resentful. Mm-hmm. And so this morning we're driving to school, and we're talking about her basketball game last night, and she had a great game. She had 12 assists and 9 steals and 6 rebounds
awesome.
And 6 points. Like, it was a great game. And yet some of the conversation was around, well, the coach recognized so-and-so and didn't recognize me. Mm-hmm. Or she points out that some player from Instagram made 50 points in a game, and, and they're, just, so focused on the things that, coveting is the word for it, and the Bible uses that word. She was coveting what other players have. And so what I said to her is, that girl on Instagram who scored 50 points in a game, instead of being resentful or envious, why don't you study what she does?
Yes.
Why don't you become her friend and ask her, how many hours do you practice? What training drills do you do? What kind of things, how did you get so good? Why don't you become her friend and ask her and learn from her and study what she does, so that you can take some of those aspects and apply them to your own game?
It's great advice.
And so then a light bulb went off in my mind that applies not just to basketball, but to business too. And so today we're talking about a mindset shift that can literally change your income, your confidence, and your capacity as a leader. Because the truth is, if you can learn to stop resenting competitors and start studying them, you move from emotional to strategic.
Yeah, absolutely. So jealousy in business usually shows up when someone is getting more visibility than you, when someone is charging more than you, when someone is booked out while you're building awareness, or someone is being praised for something you could do just as well. I know sometimes people will get will get a little envious when somebody has more of a Facebook following or an Instagram following, or even if you have a mutual friend that does the same thing as you, if that person decides to do business with them instead of you. All of those things can cause jealousy. And according to research published in Harvard Business Review, high-performing individuals are more likely to use social comparison as a tool for self-improvement, while low performers use it as a reason to disengage.
That right there is life-changing.
Yeah.
Because you have to check yourself. We all have to check ourselves and ask, when I see someone who has more success than me in whatever field, am I looking at it as a way to improve myself? Or am I maybe making excuses and saying, well, they don't have this challenge and they don't have this obstacle that I have, and so, or you make fun of them or downplay their success, or you just ignore it and run the other way. I mean, how are you reacting when you see someone who is successful? Are you able to celebrate their success? Or are you secretly wishing that they missed that shot, That's what I think Lila does. She secretly, hopes her teammates, not all of them, but the ones who are, good, she secretly probably is hoping they miss the shot. And then the whole team suffers.
Yeah.
But it makes her look better if she's the one making the shots. And so, are you doing that? Are you looking at the person down the road who seems to have it all together and wishing that they would fail? Or are you able to celebrate them because you recognize that there's a space for everyone? You can learn from them. They can learn from you. Mm-hmm. And we can all grow together.
Yeah, that's such a great point. It's just a different perspective, I think, than what we're naturally created or engineered with. So write this down. You're going to turn competition into curriculum. And I love how you mentioned studying it and being very strategic, because one of the biggest mindset shifts that you can make in business is moving from being intimidated or irritated by competitors to being intellectually curious about them. There is no better example of this than Nike. Nike doesn't ignore competitors. They don't mute them. They don't pretend that they're irrelevant. They obsess strategically. What they do, or here's the key to what they do, they don't obsess over copying products. They obsess over understanding positioning. They study brands like Adidas and Under Armour and ask questions most business owners never think to ask. So, for example, what identity are they selling? What emotion are they trying to own? Who are they serving really well? And just as important, who are they leaving out? While no competitors fought over features like lighter shoes, better foam, more tech, Nike noticed something critical. People weren't buying shoes, they were buying a brand and an identity and a culture and belief.
We are looking for young people.
That's creepy.
Not like that. We're looking for young, inspiring entrepreneurs or professionals.
They must be located in the Orlando area because we want to give them the chance to be on Miss Biz.
We are looking for 3 inspiring young professionals under the age of 30 that we can interview on the Miss Biz podcast.
So don't hide your kids or your wife. Nominate them today. Comment the word young professionals and we'll send you the nomination form. Let's get biz done.
So Nike stopped leading with its specifications of, here's what our product is made of, and they started leading with story. And instead of here's what the shoe can do, they said, you are an athlete, just do it, believe in something. And that wasn't creative fluff, it was a competitive intelligence turned into differentiation.
I love that.
And so it was an example. I mean, some of these brands they're really well known and they're really well liked and they have a really great following, Adidas and Under Armour and things like that. So it's important to differentiate yourself, and Nike has always remained relevant because it continues to do that. According to Nielsen, ads driven by emotional storytelling outperform rational feature-based ads by over 20% in long-term brand impact. And Nike saw competitors were shouting their features and realized this is where we separate. So instead of just being bitter and angry and bad-mouthing their competitors and saying why our shoe was better, they analyzed it, they researched it, they learned from it, and then they found how to differentiate themselves.
Yeah, no, that's incredibly wise, especially for like long-term sustainability in the market. So Nike, they noticed competitors treated customers like transactions. So Nike built community. They launched run clubs, training apps, local events, spaces where customers didn't just buy from Nike, they belonged to Nike. So here's the part that we want you to hear clearly. Nike didn't win by being bitter about competitors. They won by being brutally honest about what competitors were doing and then choosing a lane competitors couldn't follow into. So this is where jealousy turns into strategy.
So real quick, a little bit more about Nike and about our podcast. We did an episode recently on community and we used some examples like Jeep and Peloton, but Nike is another great one. They have run clubs, and I recently learned of a training app. So if you play basketball or you have children who do, there's one that Nike created called Hoop Court. I think I'm remembering that right, Hoop Court. It costs money. It's like $7.99 a month, but it's a fantastic app. It's like a 20-minute drill routine or whatever, but it can see your movements as you're dribbling.
That's really cool.
So it can count how many dribbles you do. It'll ding when you mess up.
That's nice.
It makes little games out of it, and my daughter has really enjoyed it, and it's made practicing super fun. So this is an example of how Nike is not just a shoe brand. It's become so much more.
Yeah. So if a competitor triggers you, it's usually because they're more visible, they're more confident, they're charging more, or they're consistent in a way that you've been avoiding. And that feeling isn't a sin, it's a signal. Your competitor isn't your enemy. They're your sharpening tool if you let them be. So here's your Nike style challenge. Pick one competitor of yours and ask, what do they talk about constantly? What emotion do they own? What do they do better than me? And where could I tell a stronger story?
So you want to talk about Morgan & Morgan? I didn't plan to do this, but that is, I mean, they're not really, some people would say they're not a competitor because we're not even remotely the same size, but we practice the same type of law in personal injury. So if I was comparing myself to Morgan & Morgan...
You know what I would say? Size doesn't matter. That's what I would say.
I would feel really terrible about myself all the time if I was just looking at Morgan & Morgan and thinking that I'm not measuring up. So can't do that. So let's do this challenge. So looking at Morgan & Morgan, what do they talk about all the time?
Size.
They do talk about size. But their logo is for the people.
Right.
And that, I think, is a great logo because... Not logo. What's the word? Slogan.
Yeah.
It's a great slogan because it's about the client, not about you. They're not saying... They do say we're the biggest, but...
It's customer centric.
Exactly.
It's customer centric, it's unifying, it's actually a very powerful slogan and tagline.
Right.
And it's empowering too, especially like for the type of law that they specialize in where, you know, somebody's been injured and they need somebody to advocate for them on their behalf. It's truly a brilliant slogan.
And I remember nowadays we don't watch TV with commercials like we used to. But I remember the commercials from when I was younger from John Morgan. And he was always giving an educational tidbit of information that insurance companies don't want you to know this or whatever. And so I think that he was really educating people, and they appreciated that information that he was sharing. And I think that is part of the reason that he became so trusted as an attorney. So what do they talk about constantly? They talk about their clients and educating them on what they should know. Next is, what emotion do they own?
Emotion that they own.
I think this has kind of evolved over the years because when I think back to the old commercials where he was just educating people, I would say they were owning it was more of a heartfelt type of emotion of, I'm here for you, I want to teach you. Lately, at least on the billboards I've seen, it seems like they've kind of gotten more...
Funny?
Yeah, funny, quirky, creative. I don't see a lot of their videos or commercials anymore, but at least their billboards, you know, they put John Morgan's face on a guy laying on the beach.
With a six-pack.
Yeah.
I love that one.
Yeah, so they've gotten more creative, and so the emotion they own now, I think, would be a more relaxed, laid-back emotion, because I think they're not trying to prove themselves as much as they would have needed to in the early years. They're now biggest.
They don't need brand recognition.
Right.
They're recognized everywhere, no matter what state someone is from. They're recognized because they're nationwide, and they've just built up their brand and their reputation and visibility. So now that they don't have to worry about telling people who they are and what they do in the next 2 seconds before they pass them on I-4, now they can just play around it because people understand their branding and all of that. So now they just try to put their personality in there to make themselves unique and stand out.
Yeah. So the next question in the challenge is, what do they do better than me? Well,
they have more ad
business.
spend.
That's
They have a ton more ad spend.
yeah, that's a very true statement. But they bring in more business. You know, they bring in more business by far. So and they have more lawyers. There's a lot I could list, but they
probably vacation better than you too.
Probably, yeah, definitely.
Offense.
I'm sure of that. Do you love the Miss Biz podcast?
Because we love you.
Here's 3 things you can do to show your support.
1, write us a review. Apple, Spotify, and Google My Business are the best platforms to write a review.
2, follow us on social media. Our handle is @MissBizPodcast.
3, join our Facebook group, Miss Biz Nation, for exclusive content and behind-the-scenes footage. Also, ask questions related to your business and discuss topics from our episodes.
And then last is, where could I tell a stronger story?
So, where you could tell a stronger story, you've done a really good job over the years kind of telling your story about how you started out working. I mean, your story is pretty in-depth. You know, you started out working for the insurance company. You were promoted as partner within, I think, 2 years of a few years being hired.
Yeah.
You supervised several different practice areas and 20 attorneys, and then you opened up Bolt's Legal from your home. Your first office was where your shoes were. And now look at you. I mean, you own the building here. So I think your story is already like very, very inspiring. And you've done it all on your own. I mean, you've had a team, right? But, you know, it's not like you had like Rich or anybody like, you know, being, no offense, Rich, being like another attorney to help you do this. Like, you've done
no
this.
Partnership and no investors.
It's a lot of it's a lot of weight. And I think maybe what you could even then start to incorporate now that we're kind of past that season would be your cancer story too, as just like another chapter of everything that you've been through.
Okay.
Because I really don't know that much about like John Morgan's background and who he is. I'm sure it exists somewhere out there on Google, but you know, the most that I know about him is that he represented NSYNC when they were getting screwed over by Lou, and then that's how they got a lot of brand recognition from there. But I really don't know too much about.
Well, let me tell you, because John Morgan has a very powerful story that I think also led to his success. He had a brother who...
Yes, his brother's like handicapped.
Yes. I can't remember if it was a car accident that put his brother in a wheelchair, or I can't remember the details, but it's definitely a brother who definitely either passed away or had a catastrophic injury. And then the family had to learn about legal.
Oh, okay.
And because they were introduced to that process through what happened to his brother, he wanted to help people in those same situations, and that's why he became a personal injury attorney. So nice. Very powerful story.
Yeah.
And so, but it's an example of how your story is so important, and I do think that it was part of his success.
Yeah, I knew about the brother because when he was trying to get weed legalized, that, you know, he was bringing up his brother and how much it would have helped him. So, but yeah, that's very, very powerful. Very powerful.
So if you can just keep reminding yourself, anytime your mind wants to go to that place that we instinctually want to go to, which is comparison and envy, you got to remind yourself, that's not how winners think. That's not how successful people think. Let's change that mindset and look at it strategically and educationally.
Yeah. Yeah.
So none of those brands, none of the successful brands say it's not fair. Mm-hmm. They say, what can we learn?
Yeah. There's plenty of pie to go around for everybody.
So get this, because this blew my mind too. Jealousy is actually in 2 of the 10 commandments.
I didn't realize this until you kind of broke it down.
I didn't either. I actually, you know how I realized this? The other night, my 6-year-old has a little Bible type children's book that we look at night, and it had the 10 commandments. And so I was going through them with him, and I was like, wait a minute, thou shalt not covet is there twice. It's thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, and thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's goods. So it's there twice. So it's 20% of the 10 commandments is about not being jealous. That's how important this is.
Yeah.
So this is really important. This isn't just important to your business. This is really important to God as well, that he put it. I mean, murder is only there once.
Yeah.
And that is a pretty important one.
Yeah.
But coveting, it's there twice. He could have consolidated it. He could have said, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife and goods.
Right.
But he broke it down. 1, 2. He put it in there twice. So this is important.
I think it's too because jealousy is something that I believe we're naturally born with. We're naturally ingrained with it. So I think you put it in there twice because it is such a prevalent issue that everybody's going to face in their life. So I love that you mentioned just to kind of pause and to inspect it and see where it's coming from. Jealousy is no way to live. I mean, all that does is create bitterness inside, and also it can actually keep you small in terms of your business. So being able to not judge it and interrogate it are going to be key. So ask yourself, what exactly am I reacting to? Is it visibility? Is it revenue? Is it confidence or consistency? What systems are they using that I'm not using? What are they doing repeatedly that I'm avoiding? And what belief do they have that I might be missing?
Yeah. So first, just figuring out what is it that I'm jealous of? Mm-hmm. Is it the success? Is it the recognition? Is it, what is it? What is that precise thing that's making me feel this way? And then you can from there answer the other questions to try to change that mindset. So it also, we've done an episode before on comparison, and I think comparison is a nice way of saying jealousy.
Yes.
And so here we're being a little more raw and honest, that calling it what it is. If it looks like a duck, talks like a duck, quacks like a duck,
It's probably a duck.
Thank you. You helped me. You could tell I was struggling with what comes next on the duck. So yes, it's jealousy. Sometimes I think we just have to look it in the face and acknowledge what it is, and that it's a sin, and that repent and ask forgiveness. Pray for our competitor, pray for forgiveness for our own feelings, our own thoughts, and start fresh.
Yeah. Recognition is huge. You can't change behavior that you don't acknowledge. So being able to easily identify it, and then, like you said, giving it to God, and then coming up with a solution of what am I going to do when I feel these certain things, or when things trigger me, because you should use it to your advantage. I know we had a podcast episode about the top 10 traits of master networkers, and one of the examples that we used was Reese Witherspoon, and she was constantly told that she was small, that she was too southern, that she would never be able to be in a lead role. And instead of letting that kind of keep her limited with her capability in her future, she actually used it to create a production company. And truly just flourished. So kind of keep that in mind when it comes to certain things that you're experiencing with your business, that the way you react to things is key, and you can use it to fuel your growth and accelerate your future.
Yeah. So I see this all the time with business owners, watching another brand post consistently while they post when they have time. Mm-hmm. So, sometimes the results that they're achieving are because they're putting in the work. That's the other thing I said to my daughter this morning. I said, that girl who scored 50 points, do you think she's coming home from school and watching Netflix all night?
Right.
No. She's out there working her butt off.
Yeah.
That's how she's getting to the place that she's scoring 50 points. So if you want to look at that and wish that were you, well, you got to put in the work to be that person. So we can't just sit and say, look at all the followers so-and-so has. It's not fair. When they're posting consistently, they're engaging with their audience, and you're just, want to have time.
Yeah.
You got to compare apples to apples. Also, resenting someone's referrals while skipping follow-ups. You can't sit there and say, I'm not getting any referrals. So-and-so is getting all the referrals when you did get referrals and you didn't follow up. And so you lost the trust of the person who was referring to you. Sometimes the reason they're being successful is because they're doing something we're not willing to do.
Yeah, exactly. And also criticizing someone's pricing instead of fixing their positioning. Jealousy will always say to us they don't deserve it, but wisdom says, what are they doing that works?
Yeah.
So here's your challenge this week. You're going to pick one competitor, just one, who triggers you a little. And instead of muting them, you're going to study their messaging, study their offers, study their consistency, study how they made people feel, and then implement one thing that you've been avoiding.
Yeah, and maybe it's not even a competitor. Maybe it's your neighbor who has a better yard than you, and
turf wars.
Whatever it is, you know what it is. Like, as you're listening to this, there's gonna be thoughts that are coming to your mind of the people that you tend to compare yourself to. And maybe it's a competitor in business, maybe it's something completely different, but either way, that is a bad seed in your heart that has to be uprooted and removed. So if this episode resonated with you, then please share it with a friend, and you can tell them this one might sting, but it's good.
We appreciate you and are honored to be on this journey with you. We can't wait to help you, to encourage you, and show you how to grow personally, professionally, and spiritually.
If you found Miss Biz helpful, please leave a review and share with others.
You can follow us on social media at Miss Biz Podcast.
For legal questions or services, please visit boltslegal.com.
And for digital marketing needs, please visit boltsmedia.com. Let's get biz done.